Okay then, so power swing versus accuracy swing. The whole point of this video is that it's just important to understand that as long as your golf swing matches and you understand exactly what you're trying to do, then you're going to get results. The best way of talking about it is to differentiate the two swings. So we're going to talk about power moves versus maybe more accuracy moves. As the video carries on, you'll kind of understand exactly what it is that I'm getting towards. Talking about power moves versus accuracy moves. That's the best way of analysing this, right? It's not that I'm necessarily suggesting you've got to go one method or the other, right? You can have a hybrid and a blend in between the two, but I'm going to talk about how you would create more power and arguably how you're going to try and find more accuracy. Right? I'm going to be using these examples from golfers that I see on the tour. The golfers who hit the ball a long way, what patterns of movement they possess, and the golfers who arguably don't hit the ball as far but are arguably maybe more statistically accurate, what they possess. The whole point of this process is that, well, there's two things really. One, I don't want everybody to perceive that I've got a particular method towards the golf swing, because I truly don't. Right? I'm quite open to suggestion. It's just that, you know, I'll talk about the things that I tend to see that need to exist with all golfers. The second point in this video is that your golf swing needs to match. That's really important that you understand. And what I mean by match is just like work, right? Now, all that little golf ball cares about is the angle of approach the club head comes down onto the ball, the club path in terms of the direction the club head comes into the ball, and the relationship of the club face. That's it, right? That's all it cares about. It's just whether you're going to go for more powerful moves or maybe, shall we say, more accurate moves. That's the point of this video. Then you can start to understand exactly where you need to be, hopefully by the time we've concluded today. Power moves first, okay? What needs to happen in a powerful move? Well, the first thing is that as I swing up towards the top of my backswing, by the time I get to roughly left arm horizontal, I still want to complete my backswing, but at this time I want to be shifting weight towards the left. Think of it as like a momentum gainer, right? If I want to shift weight towards the left-hand side. So if I was going to go bowling and I wanted to bowl the ball as fast as I can down the alley, I would swing my arm back and step forward, right? This is going to help me gain momentum to pass energy onto the bowling ball to throw it further. That's the first thing to understand, right? Now, what this does is not only does it help me gain momentum to feel like I'm moving more into the shot, what it also does is it means by the time my weight is on the left-hand side, I've still got loads of leverage at the top of the backswing, which means that I haven't dropped my arms down, they're still swinging up here. Now, inevitably, the more my arms have got height and leverage, the more club head speed I'm going to be able to create. Now, again, power movement, that means you've shifted pressure early, right? What it means now is we need no more lateral movement at all, otherwise you're going to start messing it up. So now it's all about rotation. Rotation is going to help you create speed, especially the shoulders and the hips are going to help you create tremendous amounts of rotational movement. Now, what's important to understand is that you've shifted pressure in towards the left, you've still got all this leverage, and you are going to start to get the feeling of rotating your hips and your shoulders out of the way. Now, one of the things you've got to be careful of when you start to do this is that if I start to trigger a rotation, which means my left hip and my shoulder are moving around, then you can start to see the way the club face gets open. This will happen. What's important in golf is that we need to make sure that we have a rate of rotation of the club face if you're going to go for a powerful move. Because it's like baseball. If you wanted to hit the ball as hard as you could, you would step and turn. But the thing with the baseball move is that, you know, and I'm not a baseball pro or anything, but obviously there's no club face, right? It's kind of like a cylinder object. So, you know, if I do the same movement with the golf swing, yes, it feels powerful, but the problematic thing here is the club face becomes so open. Now, if you're going to go with power, you're trying to create rotation. If you're trying to create rotation, you want to rotate throughout the whole swing. And that means that you have to understand you've got to get the club face squarer sooner in your golf swing, okay? Because if the face comes down too open, you have to stall, which means you would have to stop and flip. So what's important that you understand is that, yes, you are in the left-hand side. Your left hip is going to be moving out of the way. Your shoulders are going to be rotating out of the way. Right? What is also happened now is that you're creating space. You can see the way my right elbow drives in front of my right hip. But also what's important is that my forearms are going to be rotating in a downward manner as I hold on to extension and flexion of the left wrist. Now, to be honest, I've talked a lot about different movements on the channel, right, in terms of hip rotation, shoulder rotation. I'm not going to go into great detail today because I think it's important that we stick to these things that I want to talk about in terms of the differences between power and accuracy. But what's important that you understand is the concept that yes, my weight's in the left, I want to move my left hip, I want to be turning my shoulders to move as fast as I can, but I also need to make sure the club face is coming down square in that relationship to it. See, from here, I can keep turning, okay? I can keep moving out the way because the face is coming down squarer in the downswing means I can continue to rotate. Now what we would see is that because of this continuation of rotation in the golf swing, by the time we get towards impact, I should have created a huge clearance of this left-hand side. So what you can see is my footwork, right? You can actually see in this example, my left toe is in the air and my right heel is in the air. This is because if I let this functionality happen, specifically in the right heel, it allows me to create a greater range of motion in terms of the rotation. If I keep my feet on the floor, there's a maximum amount of rotation I'm going to be able to create. Because we're going for power, we need rotation. Okay, and that's why impact, you would look more this way because I've created a bigger range of motion and a bigger turn of the hips. That's important to understand. So when you're going for powerful moves, the important things to understand, in my opinion, is that you're going for a momentum gainer, which means you're going to be shifting weight pressure into the left as you're completing the top of the backswing. The second thing is, as soon as the weight's in the left, you need to create a rotational element and move out of the way. We don't want any more lateral movement. Right, so that just means that you're trying to, like a baseball, you're trying to move out the way, right? But the problem with this is you've got to be aware of the club face, because the more you rotate this, the more that centrifugal force moves this way, everything is going to go out. Now that's fine, but you've just got to make sure you twist the club face and you resist the rotation of the face to make sure the face comes down squarer. Again, in other details and video that I've already put onto the channel would talk more about exactly what should happen in terms of the shoulders in the hit. But the principle is that basically if you're going for power, you need to be rotating out of the way. And you want to feel like you're just, you're behind the ball and you're ripping it. And that's why at the point of impact, your weight transfer would be equally divided between the right toe and the left heel. This helps you rotate, get out the way, swing your arms through. Massively powerful, right? Huge power. At our accurate golfer then, okay? So going back to the bowling analogy, now I've only got to hit one pin. Well, I don't need to move that quick now, right? I want more accuracy. So now it would become just my arm swinging on its own, just releasing the ball down towards the alley, towards the pin that I'm intending to hit. So the difference would be that there wouldn't be such a great momentum shift, right? I would swing up to the top and I'd have a little bit more like a pause. That's fine. Okay, it gives me time to think about it a little bit more. I'm not looking for huge amounts of power. What would also start to happen is that I would shift pressure in towards the left-hand side, but as I'm doing this, I would start to bring my arms down. Now, equally, I'd still be careful of the club face, right? I'm not advocating you have the club face wide open because you're still going to have to flip it. And I'm not suggesting we want to be a flipper or like you can't hit the ball good distance at all. But the difference would be, because I'm not creating as much rotation and I'm creating more of a lateral element towards the golf swing, my arms can come down at the same rate, but I still want the club face to look relatively square. As I come in towards the hit, it would be more of a release of the hands and the arms. And don't get me wrong, there's still rotation, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but the footwork would start to look a hell of a lot quieter. Yeah, the weight shift would maybe be more in the left side rather than equally distributed between the toe and the heel, and then I would swing through. So the biggest difference is, like, if you want to go for accuracy, you've got to understand that your arms are going to be dropping, right, as soon as you start to shift pressure left. That's one of the things you have to do, and I think that's absolutely fine to do. I really do, but at the same time, you're not going to be as powerful as you could be if you go for that sort of movement. The whole point of the video was that you understand that you don't have to have one thing or another. You can have a hybrid of the things in between the two, because like I said earlier, the golf ball only really cares about the geometry as to the angles the club's hitting the ball. So that's like your fundamental thing that you want to be thinking about. But what's also important to understand is that if you want to create more power, then you need to do the movements that I've suggested. Equally, if you want to become more accurate, then you want to do the movements that I've suggested as well. The similarities in terms of the hybrid of the golfer that falls in between the two is like, well, everybody shifts weight towards the right hand side in the backswing. Everybody swings their left arm on a decent sort of plane majority of the time, in terms of the left arm is normally through the shoulder line at the top of the backswing. You want to avoid getting too flat if you're an amateur. Okay, weight shift occurs on the left hand side. It's just difference in terms of momentum gainer. That's the main difference. The club face is still square, so it's still perpendicular to the plane line. That's exactly the same, right? Impact would still look solid on both accounts, and the release would look the same as well. The point is that if you want to go for more power, you need to understand how you're going to become more powerful. You can't just try and hit the ball harder. You have to understand the sequence of events that goes for it. If you think it's time in your game to become more accurate, then you need to start getting more of a sense of allowing your arms to drop. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you get better at golf. That's what's important about all of this channel. It's not like a method. I'm not teaching you to do one thing or another. It's just that in the title, if I suggest how to become more powerful, that's what you do. Today, the video is more about, okay, powerful components and more accuracy components. And that's what we tend to see, right? If you want to go for more accuracy, allow your arms to drop as you shift pressure into the left. If you're going to go for more power, then you can trigger more rotation. Come out of this video, I'm sure, and then you can obviously ask any questions you like in the comments box below. We'll be like, well, hang on a second, if I learned how to hit the ball further, I'd hit less clubs, which means I'd be more accurate. I think that's true, right? I don't disagree with that. That's why I'm trying to say that although I've talked about powerful components and I've talked about kind of, should we say, accuracy components, I think what's important to understand is that you need to find what matches for you. And you can take components out of both of those swings to do what is right for you. Are you a golfer who struggles to create tremendous amounts of rotation because you feel your body's unable to? Then that's fine. Then start to allow the arms to drop a little bit more. That's absolutely fine. Just do what is best for you. As ever, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Always appreciate a thumbs up and a like. Drop me a comment in the box below if you've got any questions about anything you want to see in the future or anything about this video in particular that you would like me to discuss in more detail. Just general comments coming in I always appreciate as well. I'm loving the comments coming in. The channel's growing fast. I really enjoy it. I appreciate everybody's support so far. Press that subscribe button, right? Press the little bell icon. You'll receive notifications every time a new video comes out as well. Also absolutely free is to send the swings into the channel. Loads of golfers now are taking advantage of this. Going to start seeing all these swings materialize over the upcoming few days, hopefully, right? Why don't you do it as well? Links are in the description below towards the social media platforms where you can send the swings into, right? Loads of golfers have done it. Why don't you do it too? Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Catch up with you again soon.